Henry Marshall goes to a bar, and after a couple of drinks, the man goes up to his office, where a New Year's party is going on, and starts shooting from a gun. Panic begins around, and Henry comes to his senses in the same bar. It turns out that he imagined it all, and a woman ordered a drink for him. Henry turns around and thanks the stranger, after which the woman sits down next to him. She is interested in his thoughts, but Henry does not answer her questions. Then he says that he once worked in this very building. The woman admits that her friends invited her to a Christmas party, and she offers to go together. Henry agrees. They enter the elevator together, where the woman kisses him. The doors open, Henry grabs a gun and shoots his colleagues. But one of the men shoots back and wounds Henry. The elevator doors close, and the woman simply disappears into thin air. Henry goes down and goes out to the parking lot, where he steals a car from a stranger. At this time, a detective arrives at the office and sees a telephone conversation between Henry and the secretary. The man wants to know who died at his hands, but the woman cannot tell any names. Detective Jack picks up the phone and tries to persuade the criminal to surrender. Henry cannot understand how he did it. Apparently, that woman at the bar is to blame. Henry hangs up, and the detective orders to examine the business cards of the dead. Meanwhile, Henry leaves the city and listens to the news about the death of 3 people at the hands of a former employee of the company who served time in prison. The man runs out of gas and is forced to walk. Henry comes to a lake and throws away his gun. The man sees a roe deer that is not afraid of him. Soon, Henry gets to the hotel, where a birthday party is being prepared. A friendly waitress greets the man. He places an order and suddenly remembers that he has no money. However, the girl offers Henry food and a drink for free. The man goes to the toilet and bandages his wound. After that, he again hears the news about the search for the killer. The police do not know the motive for the crime, and so far, no one can find the trail. At this point, a man sits down next to Henry, starts a conversation, and suddenly addresses him by name. He demonstrates his ability to guess names and also places an order and calls Henry his friend. The man is surprised, and the stranger persuades him not to rush because no one knows what lies ahead. Henry thinks that the man has realized who he is and can turn him over to the police, but the stranger suddenly asks about his wound and says his name, Lucas. He pays for dinner and gives the waitress Mary a generous tip. Then Lucas says that there will be a party here now where they will congratulate a family friend of Mary. She wants to give a gift, but she can't afford it. That's why Lucas wanted to help her. Henry also asks for help, but does not believe that Lucas can do anything for him. The strange man reads him the definition of the word mind, leading to the fact that he is an angel. Henry does not believe in this nonsense, and he does not believe in Jesus either. Lucas suddenly tells him that if Henry leaves now, the police will track him down tomorrow morning, shoot, and he will die. At this time, the bartender tells Jack the story of Henry, who organized a scam with his boss. He got caught, but his accomplices' bosses did not. As a newbie, he took the blame and went to prison, but he was simply screwed. Henry expresses his distrust of Lucas because no one knows what awaits him. The new friend explains that people are constantly changing their reality. If Henry leaves in an hour, he will still be killed. So Lucas asks him to stay, but Henry does not believe it. Lucas again asks him to wait. At this moment, a policeman appears outside the window. Henry is about to run, but his new friend asks the guy not to rush and look only at him. The policeman does not notice the killer. Then the cop leaves and Henry realizes that he just escaped death. His new friend opens up a different reality for him. Henry can leave, but in 3 days he will die on the train from blood poisoning because his wound will not heal. The noise in the bar prevents Henry from understanding Lucas when he says that he does not see the future, but different realities that can happen. All people are the same and consist of particles of the original stars. This is the essence of the universe. If they take each other's hands, it will be difficult to understand where one ends and the other begins. But Henry does not understand this statement and wants to leave again. Lucas says goodbye to him, but at the moment when they shake hands, something happens. Henry gets up to leave and suddenly realizes that his wound does not hurt. The man cannot believe his eyes and feelings. At this time, Jack comes to the morgue to find out the names of the victims. One of the dead has no fingerprints. The second woman is simply perfect with no details that could help in identification. The third is missing a brain. The pathologist doesn't know what to write in the report. Jack remembers the mountain cabin, the address of which is listed in Henry's documents, and goes there. Meanwhile, Henry returns to the table and tries to find out what happened and where the bullets from his side went. Lucas calms him down. Henry tries to understand what is happening and suggests that Lucas can foresee the future. That's where his money comes from. If they unite, they can get even richer. And then Lucas discovers the next reality. If Henry leaves, he will get to the neighboring town where he will start using harmful substances and die of hepatitis in 6 months. Henry is ready to listen to his new friend, but does not know where to start. Lucas asks what he would change in his life if he had to start all over again. Henry admits that he would be more careful so as not to get caught. Lucas asks if the guy wants to remain a swindler. Henry explains that he traded houses and sold them several times. No one really suffered from his pranks. At this moment, a man with a child in his arms enters the bar. Lucas tells his story. He is one of those who gave their money to Henry. After that, he left homeless and started drinking. One day, he was driving drunk and got into an accident in which his daughter died. Because of Henry, all this happened. Henry tries to argue with Lucas, but quickly realizes that he can't change anything. He agrees that he could have caused harm, but he did it unintentionally. Henry is sure that he is a good person and did not want to let anyone down. Lucas suddenly agrees. At this time, a man comes inside who turns out to be the birthday man. Lucas talks about the true wealth of a person, his friends. Upset, Henry goes to the toilet, while Lucas plugs the wound in his side with napkins. Henry looks at himself in the mirror, and when he returns, he notices blood on Lucas. He tries to somehow help, but his friend stops him because they have little time left. In his world, they accept someone else's pain or joy in an instant. They came to help him understand this. Henry feels terrible guilt because he killed those people, but Lucas calms him down. They weren't people. They covered for him to help Henry understand the truth. When a man harms others, he harms himself. Henry goes to get some napkins and suddenly hears the voices of the police. He looks out into the hall and sees himself. Henry looks in the mirror and finds Lucas there. He goes out into the hall and sees a man with Henry's face being taken away. He hears a waitress answering the detective's questions. The policeman asks the new Lucas questions, but he can't say anything bad about Henry. After the detective leaves, the new Lucas gives the waitress a large sum of money and asks her to give it to the man with the girl. Lucas goes out the door and suddenly sees the same beauty from the bar under the tree. She waves to him and disappears, and a bright star flies into the sky. At this time in prison, a fallen prisoner is encouraged by Henry, who calls himself Lucas and extends his hand to him. Thus, Henry gets a second chance, but in order to be saved, he needs to change not his body, but his soul.